record store day. You narrow the list down and you think you're done. No, it was not crossed out on my list. I could tell you that the record room did quite well, and we're going to go over all of that. It is one of the best. Did I get everything that I wanted? But it has a backstory to it. What's the backstory? Definitely wanted. I was able to get it. It's not going to bother me all that much, but I don't understand how they let that go. Hello, what's everybody doing out there tonight? My name is Zute. I'm a record collector, and today, April 18th, 2026, Record Store Day, a monumental day for a lot of record collectors. And we're going to get into what we snagged up and talk a little bit about my experience. How was your experience? Did you get everything you wanted? I think the record room did quite well, and we're going to show you all our treasures of the day. But let's go through the entire process of our record store day, and it all starts. And if you're anything like me, you're a maniac, and you're thinking about it pretty much from when the list drops and looking at your list and adding to the list and trying to fit it in your budget. Unless you're super rich, you have to do that. These things are not cheap. And then you narrow the list down and you think you're done. And lo and behold, you have a thought, or you see something that you didn't realize, or you watch or listen to another podcast and they drop information about an album that wasn't even on your radar. That's exactly what happened to me. And I'll get into that more. And you're just frantic up until the day before, really. And then what you try and do is decide, number one, where do you go? Or do you live in an area where you have options? Number two, what time do you line up? Now, for me, it's a no brainer of where I go. I go to Rough Trade in New York City. In many ways, it is the best place to go for record store day. In some ways, it might not be for everybody. And we'll discuss all of that, but that's my no brainer. There are other options in New York City, but I don't think they're as good. The Rough Trade has a great process. And you get into all of that, but then you have to realize that, well, when do you start lining up? Now, the old timers in the old days, they'll tell you, well, you were able to sign up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you're good. Even maybe even 7 o'clock in the morning and you're good. You'll be at least the first 10. Not the case anymore in most areas, although in some parts of the country that might not be true. But in New York City and at Rough Trade, if you're lining up at 6, 7 in the morning, you're going to be waiting outside for a long time. So I knew what I wanted. I had my titles more or less, and I was also shopping for loved ones. And the combination of what we wanted was on the lower pressing side, was on the hot titles side. So last year I lined up about 1 a.m. and I was about 30 deep, and I was like, "That's not good enough. Let me get there earlier." And so I got there about 8:45 p.m. and there were exactly 10 people in front of me. By the time we got downstairs and were ready to go, I was number 11. B11, B11. Nobody's going to know what the hell that is, but I just did it anyway. So I felt good. I felt confident. The only way I would be in trouble is if there was maybe a handful, two or three of certain titles. And I did have a few titles that were very limited pressings, and we'll get into that. And did I get everything that I wanted? Did I get everything that my loved one was looking for? Well, we'll see. My loved one is my daughter, by the way. But anyway, so first let's look at the list that they give you for Rough Trade. A little sneak of my list. I'll just show you the first page. So what Rough Trade does is they pretty much micromanage their record store day, and I like it. And I'll tell you why I like it. So you go, you get a list, you check off the items you wanted at your list, and then you give the list to the workers, and the workers put together your order, call you in, go to the register, you pay, boom. Hopefully everything you checked on your list is there. If not, they sold out. And that was going to happen a lot to a lot of people that were deep on the line. And then, you're good to go. And you are able to add titles. You get to check your order, make sure everything is right. And it's a good thing I did that today. And even though I did do that today, I did make one minor mistake. we'll get into that. And that's how it goes. And they have about 8 or 9 workers going through all the orders. And the reason why I like it's orderly. You don't have to worry about fighting with people. You don't have to wait if it's a system where they're only letting 4 people in at a time, 5 people or less than that. And, the only limit they put on you is you can only get one album per customer, but you're allowed to look at other items in the store, what have you. And then you're waiting and waiting. And that's no good. I don't like that. I mean, if that's the only day you're going to go record shopping, I could see that. But I understand why a lot of the smaller stores do that because they're not going to make their money just on record store day sales in some cases, from what I understand, from what I listen to other record store owners. So the idea that they want their people in the store and they might have sales on non-record store day items and people will buy non-record store day items. That's like the Black Friday. And there is a record store day Black Friday for record store they owners. But Rough Trade doesn't need that. They're huge, right? To call them an independent record store might be a little bit of a joke, but that's what they are considered. And they don't need that extra sales pitch. They don't need to because they're going to do it anyway. They're going to do it later in the day. They have a whole indie plaza with live music going. So they're always busy. They're always open. They have an upstairs and a downstairs. So for record store day, their focus is on micromanaging the crowd, getting their titles, and getting them out as fast as possible. And I like that. And the other thing that is cool about Rough Trade is, for the most part, they get the most titles of anybody, right? They get pretty much everything unless there's a faux pas with the orders, and they get a lot of copies. At least they try to get a lot of copies. There's always that crapshoot. But if you are one of the first 10, one of the first 20 online, chances are Rough Trade will have what you're looking for. If they don't, good luck finding it somewhere else. So let us know. Oh, well, before we move on to what I actually got, the other thing about Rough Trade that you have to understand is this is probably one of the reasons why they are able to get away with not having customers browse for other items. Number one, they're huge. And then number two, their prices are always going to be higher than what you see in other record stores on record store day. I am assuming that they go to the allotted percentage that you're allowed to charge. What record store day is about is that you get a suggested retail price and you're allowed to go a little under, you're allowed to go a little over. Well, record store day at Rough Trade, they go for the max price. It's always going to be a lot higher than other stores, but they're allowed to do it, I'm assuming, because if you don't follow the rules of record store day, you can lose that privilege. And obviously they are not losing that privilege. So some people might not like Rough Trade New York City because that's their day to go browse and look for sales on other non-record store day titles. And it's a little bit more expensive for an event that's already very expensive. But for the other reasons, I think those are the positives. Give Rough Trade the nod. But of course, I live in New York City, so I'm going to favor it. If I was somewhere else, maybe I wouldn't have to line up the night before. But hey, whatever suits your boat. All I know is when I left this morning, the lines were insane. If you've ever been to Rough Trade, New York City, it's the lower part. The entire staircase of the lower part was filled up. Outside was filled up. Around the corner was filled up. And there was hundreds of people. If you were all the way back and you were looking for something limited and they only had, let's say, 10 copies, I don't think you're getting it. So you see those horror shows on social media all the time of people not getting what they want. But, it all depends on when you arrive when it comes to Rough Trade in New York City. But let us now go over. Did I get everything I was looking for? Let's see. And I'm going to go over the items of my daughter's her wish list. And this is the first one on her order: a picture disc of K Tronada. Ain't no damn way picture disc. If you're not a fan of picture discs, well, but picture disc is a small part of record store. They don't have an abundance of them, but that was the first one. This one is a cool one, but it has a backstory to it. What's the backstory? Muse. This is considered their first EP, the debut of Muse available on vinyl for the first time, limited edition neon vinyl. I have not opened or listened to any of these yet. We'll dissect the music at a later date. But this was an interesting one for me because, as I told you, be thorough with what you check. I looked through the order and I wanted to, you make sure there's no mistakes. And at the very top of the pile on my order was right away a mistake. I had the Cure acoustic hits, I believe. There were two different Cure ones. I wasn't interested in either one. And the very first album on my pile was the Cure. I was like, this isn't mine. Get rid of this. Not that I don't like the Cure, it just wasn't on my list. So I knew I had something missing, and I went through it, and I'll tell you what was missing at a later date in the podcast. Rather, I messed that one up or whatever. So we're not ready to tell you which one I was missing yet. Let's put it that way. But with Muse, there were two different Muse EPs, and the one that was requested was Muse Muscle Museum. And that's the one I checked. And if you think I'm lying, let's check it. Sometimes I think I'm in another world when I talk to people and when I say things. And sometimes it's me, I'm the one who's wrong. But this time, I don't know if you could see that. There's definitely a check for Muse Muscle Museum. This is not Muse Muscle Museum. This is Muse Muse. Try saying that 75 times. Which personally, as a collector, I think this is the better of the muses because, as far as I know, this is at least it's not on Apple Music. It's not easy for streaming, and it's their debut EP, but it's not the one that was on the list. And I did not realize that until I got home. So now I'm on the hunt to get the Muse Muscle Museum on the online sale. That's the other thing about Records Store Day is it's not over when the calendar switches to a new day. When the calendar switches to a new day, us psychopaths are worried about getting online first to see what online leftover stock is there for us to gobble up. There you go. So now I have to try and buy another record that was not initially intended. This is another request that was not mine, Baby Metal to Arena highlights. And I don't remember exactly the pressings here, but it wasn't a lot of pressing. It is a Record Store Day exclusive, clear. These are the highlights, so it's not the entire event. It has a total of looks like 4 titles or 5 titles. So there you go. Now this is the last of the requests that were not mine, and this was one of the, I think everything I've heard, this is one of the hottest items of Record Store Day, the Paramore. Paramore, All We Know Is Falling. It has the original album as well as the Summer Tick rather, EP. First time on vinyl, red smoke vinyl. You see, you have the bonus stuff. While 7,000 copies, the prediction is this one is going to be hard to get unless you're buying it from a flipper. Other people told me that when I was online. I was having some discussions with people behind me, and when I told him one of the titles I was interested in was Paramore, he's like, "Yeah, well, it's like you're in a good position to get it, but I know those are going to sell out fast. So we'll see. We'll see what's happening. Well, when we look at the extra stock tomorrow morning, when we look at Record Store Day Marketplace, and when we look at what this cog says, these are already all over eBay, regardless of if there's extra stock or if they're gonna show up on the Record Store Marketplace anyway. So that's another thing. We'll talk about flippers briefly later. So that's the stuff there. So I was 4 for 4 with my daughter's wish list. So I was very happy about that. Although I got the wrong Muse, so kind of not really 4 for 4, but I'm fudging the books a little bit and saying I went 4 for 4. So now we're going to get into my gets. I guess I'll start here. So first one, and my philosophy of what I was looking for was a little different than maybe you, maybe not. I don't know. But I was obviously the no brainers, the ones I love were there, and should be obvious. Some of those are, but I don't really love live music. I am into live music of my favorites, and that's about as far as that goes. So I was trying to limit the live music, and I was going for stuff that was on the lower pressing sides, not because I want to flip them, but just because I think that's like an enhancement of the collection to get things that are limited pressings. I mean, who wouldn't want that? So the first one, and this is one of the ones I told you I wanted from one of the very first shows I did. I realized only about five of you watched it, but anyway, if you remember when I first went over the record store day list, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom was one that I definitely wanted. I was able to get it. I mean, this is music from the 1920s, and it's numbered and limited to 1200. I have 1131 of 1200. So I thought that was a cool one. Another one that I got that was totally on my wish list from the beginning and totally a rare pressing, a lot of goodies, not a live album. So it had everything that I wanted. And I was actually nervous that they weren't going to have it, but they did. Stuart Copeland, the Rhythmists, 1,200 copies of this one with Rhythmist print, hand signed by Stuart Copeland, newly mastered and repressed on vinyl for the first time since its original release in 1985. A blue translucent vinyl and a record store day exclusive. I can't tell you how happy I am to add this to the room. And this is another one that popped up on my radar late, but it's another one that I've already seen people on social media say they got shut out with, and it's the new Collective Soul. Now, this is brand new music by Collective Soul. It's a record store day exclusive, 10 new songs, solid vinyl, and it includes a poster. I think there's like 2,500 of these. New music. I can't wait to listen to it. I can't wait to talk about it on Substack. Look out for that. I'm going to do a comprehensive deep dive to all of these albums when I actually get to listen to them on Substack. But new music for a band that I really like on Record Store Day. Here's another one that came up late. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Nobody's answered me directly, but I think this one popped up rather late on the list. I don't remember seeing this one on the list. Dope, No Country for Old Men with Chuck D and John Densmore. The last time I was on, I told you this was one of my must gets. Again, original music for Record Store Day. Look at that back. That's a beautiful thing right there. And it includes the Record Store Day Song of the Year, Every Tick, Tick, Tick. It's a Record Store Day exclusive. I believe 2,000 on this. Transparent, high melt vinyl. I can't wait to see what this looks like. Even more importantly, I can't wait to see what this sounds like. That's the other thing. When I'm ready to open and listen, what do I pick first? A smorgasbord of choice. Okay, now here we go. This one, of course, is a live album, Stone Temple Pilots Live, and a little bit on the higher pressing side, 4,000. Stone Temple Pilots, I have to have it. I would have been upset if I didn't go home with this one. And at first, it was said to be on basic black vinyl, which is fine. I'm not all about the colored vinyl world, although I love them. I'm not going to say that I don't love a colored vinyl, but I was like, oh, well, I said, do I really need another Stone Temple Pilots live album if it's black and it's not a small amount of pressing? I mean, I have others, I can listen to others, but this one is supposed to be a special one from 2001 tour, the original lineup, and it's pressed on canary yellow vinyl. That's another bonus for me. And I don't think I was ever in doubt that I was going to go after this one. I was going to check that box. And if you know me and you know I love Stone Temple Pilots, you should know I also was going after Scott Weiland Live. And I got it. Scott Weiland Live, 2,000 pressings of this, the first ever live album featuring unreleased recordings, includes exclusive collectible tour laminate, has songs from Stone Temple Pilot, has solo Scott Weiland, has songs from Velvet Revolver. I can't wait to listen to this. Not as many songs as the Stone Temple Pilots concert, but that's okay. And it was a lot cheaper as well. Next one on my list is another one that came to the wish list late. Gil Scott Heron, Reflections. Beautiful back cover. This is an album from 1981, pressed for the first time in a long time on vinyl. Purple purple marble vinyl, it says. Purple marble. I can't wait to see what that looks like. This is an excellent album. It's on the political side, but I like the message. I realize most of you won't, but there you go. 1,700 pressings of this. I read that this is another one that's going to sell out. We'll see if that comes to fruition. Either way, I have it in the record room, and now we're going to get to. Actually, before I get to that one, let's take a look at this one, Dada, because this one has an interesting story of how it came about to be on my radar. I was listening to Record Store Day podcasts, and one of the podcasts actually had one of the band members of Dada, and they were talking about the immense success of the record store release of their very first album, and this one was also going to be heavily anticipated. Dada is their third album, and it says right on here, limited to 1,500 copies. LP set first time on vinyl, remastered with 4 bonus tracks, plasma vinyl pressing. And yes, this was the one that was missing. The Cure, the Rough Trade brass gave me, sorry, instead of Dada, the Rough Trade brass gave me the Cure. And at first I thought it was because Dada was sold out, because I mean, the cashier in Rough Trade was a little douchey when I mentioned it to her. She's like, well, maybe it must be sold out if you don't have it. I was like, no, it must be sold out. Let's make sure it's sold out. Okay. So she's like, you probably crossed out on your list. I'm like, all right, well, that's a start. Is Dada El Subliminal crossed out on my list? Was it crossed out on my list? No, it was not crossed out on my list. You animal? Now what? Oh, so she calls over the runners, I guess you call them, the ones who are actually putting the orders together. Can you see if there's a copy of Dada? And then she couldn't even say the name of the album. I don't really know. It's like, oh yeah, yeah. You started and you already hate your job, but obviously, since I have it in my hand, it was not sold out. They just made a mistake. So, I was joking about it. I was like, oh, cool. I'm happy because that's one of the ones I really wanted. I was like, so they gave me the Cure instead of Dada. Still in miserable mode. She was like, happen. Don't happen to me. Don't tell me shit that's not true. Anyway, Dada is not part of the rumor. So now here is, I'm not sure if this is the least amount of pressings, but it's certainly up there. The Verlands, Ready to Fly, remastered on first time on vinyl, mastered and the first time on vinyl. Sorry, I kind of butchered that. Colored vinyl, blue J opaque vinyl, and only 500 copies of this. I've heard that 1,400 stores in the USA participate in Record Store Day. There was a significant less amount of pressings of stores that participate in my hand. Now, of course, with this, as the collector that I am, I've done myself a little bit of, actually, I should just say I gave myself more work. How did I give myself more work? Well, I'm the type where if I really like something and I'm an album guy, I just can't have, for the most part, one album of an artist. And right now, I only have one album of the Verlads, Gil Scott, Dada, and Collective Soul. I can't stand that. I'm gonna have to get more albums from them. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna go so far as being a completist for all of them, but I'm definitely going to be looking for more titles from all of them. I've been a Collective Soul fan for a while, especially in the 90s when I was more into that music, but never bought any of their albums. Just listen on the radio, listen on streaming. But now, here we go. And that's not like I have to, I have the, I don't even know what to say. It's like, do I need more artists to collect them? I want to. But one person I am a bit of a maniac with and a completist with, and the reason why we're all here, at least why I actually started that record store. The PA de Resistance. Here we go. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. live Asbury Park, and that's a beautiful set list. What I have in my hand is 5 LPs, and it's about a 3.5 hour concert. For any Springsteen fan, it is a dream set list. But there is one major thing here that I could see driving a lot of Springsteen fans bonkers. It bothers me, but it doesn't bother me as much as I think it might bother some. What is it that I am talking about? What is it that the manufacturers did to this beautiful box set that it's going to drive a lot of Bruce Springsteen fans mad? What is it that I am talking about? Well, if you know anything about Bruce Springsteen fans, watching music live and seeing certain things are considered holy grails. And one holy grail in concert is Incident on 57th Street into Rosalita. I'm not going to get into a bunch of why. If you know, you know. But I was lucky enough to see that in concert once. Incident into Rosalita is considered a holy grail for Bruce Springsteen fanatics. And Meeting Across the River into Jungle Land. And when I say that, I mean played back to back because it just sounds so beautiful and smooth. Meeting Across the River into Jungle Land is another holy grail. There's even a debate out there amongst Springsteen fans, which is the better double shot. See what I just did there? Springsteen fans saw what I just did there. And at See Here Now for the first time in like forever, Meeting Across the River into Jungle Land was a thing. It actually happened at this concert. But those who manufactured this 5 LP set broke it up. The last side starts with Jungle Land. So LP4 ends with Meeting Across the River. LP5 starts with Jungle Land, essentially ruining the combination. It's not going to bother me all that much, but I don't understand how they let that go. I don't understand. I mean, Bruce must not have had anything to do with this. John Landau, Mr. Know It All. Why didn't you catch this? It's going to be a problem for some. I'll let you know when I listen to it. But I just couldn't believe they broke that combination up. They took the Holy Grail and they threw it away. All of those who think I don't like Paul McCartney, they took their lucky break and they broke it in two. I don't understand it. But that wasn't going to stop me from buying it. It's not going to stop me from enjoying it. But you wonder why certain things happen. Where's the common sense? Think of the fans. No fan wants to listen to this album and have Meeting Across the River and Jungle Land not fuse into one another. And that's exactly what you did. Oh, that's it. That's my soapbox. And that's our of episode 4 of the Record Room. What are your record store day hauls? What do you love? We'll be back on the air soon. As soon as I start diving into the music, I'll be posting articles on Substack. Hope to have some good surprises for you the next time we go on the air. But until then, listen to what you love and embrace all.